very, very well. I know I have used myself as well. On the other hand, for when the people they see some kind of changes in the sales, drop down in the sales, drop down in the conversion ranking, they do A/B testing. There's also when they are doing A/B testing, they are doing for bullet points, they are doing for title, images. So, would you recommend anything that any tool or anything that like CRO conversion rate optimization, any tool for that, or you would recommend go with A/B testing?
I like, the Amazon A/B testing feature for me takes too long to give me data that I want.
Mm,
So what I like to do is just make the changes myself and document. I use ClickUp for project management. So what I'll do is I'll have a list in ClickUp. A list is just like let's call it a folder in a filing cabinet, right? And inside of that list, I can have tasks, and those tasks will be made up of split testing. So if I want to split test a title, I can put that in there, and I can put what my expected outcome is and how long I want to run that test for and what metrics I'm going to look at, right? So I'm really going to look at click-through rate and conversion rate. And if I make a main image change that I think is going to get a better click-through rate, meaning more customers are going to see it and click into it to continue down the path, that's the metric I'm going to look at. And I'm just going to make sure I document what I'm thinking, because it's tough to remember all that stuff, right? So I just like to use a project management tool to document my thoughts, the change I made, and I only make one change at a time. And then the metrics that I'm going to look at to give me an indicator of whether it's going good or bad.
no, and this is very excellent. The one thing that I like, you are preparing everything, whatever you have in mind, preparing a document is really pretty awesome. I'm I'm following the same, but I will follow more because definitely it is very useful. There is one more question for you. Product quality or first priority or product heavy branding? I mean, maybe it mean like good branding on first or on first priority for launch.
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. It's tough to put one of those before the other, in my opinion. But if you have a good, if you if you're trying to figure out what to do with your budget, and you don't have the budget to do both of those really well, then I would probably go with quality, right? Especially if I'm selling on Amazon, because there is an opportunity to kind of let them do some of the heavy lifting when it comes to the marketing of your product. And then you can just rely on the fact that you're solving a problem and you're doing it well. Like maybe you did a bunch of research on product reviews and you really see the problems with the competitors and the niche that you're getting into. So now you're confident that you're solving a problem and you're going to do it well. And now you just have to be a little patient, that you're going to build those product reviews and build that authority on Amazon to continue to capture more revenue, capture more good rankings. And as your money comes in, then you can put some more money into your branding, so you can attempt to reach more customers. One thing I really like to take advantage of on Amazon is all the different spots you can advertise. And for some of those, unfortunately, you have to have more than one SKU, right? So like if you want to have, the headline sponsored ad, you've got to have more than one product in order to get into that slot. So those are things I'm going to be taking a look at to make sure I can take advantage of all those placements on Amazon, so I can get an opportunity to prove to customers the quality that my product has.